I've seen so many people say that Pep's dynasty at City is now over, especially with KDB leaving and City having arguably the worst season under Pep last season. And for the first time ever, Pep did not win a single trophy. And that could be true. What if I told you right now that his first dynasty might be over, but Pep is about to begin his second dynasty at City? Because every single signing which they've made right now on the summer window, and go back 6 months ago with the signing which they made back in January, all those signings will be combined into starting a new dynasty, which potentially could see City not winning only one Premier League, but 2 or 3. In this video, I'll go through the signing which they made. I will compare it very specifically because it's very similar with his first stint when he first came to City in 15-16. And lastly, I will predict and see how City will line up next season with all the signings which they've made this summer. Before we start, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new to the channel. This is a complete new channel. This is my second channel where I'll be adding a lot more Premier League content and not La Liga. So you might be wondering why I compare the recent signing to the signing which Pep made in his first dynasty. If you go back to the first dynasty with Pep Guardiola, when he won the Premier League in 17-18 for the first time, despite the fact joining City only a year before and not winning anything, City had 4 players in the starting 11 that won the league before Pep came over in the first dynasty under Mancini and under Pellegrini. And those 4 players were Kompany, Fernandinho, David Silva and Kun Aguero. What this means that the other 7 players in that starting 11 or in the squad rotation was players which came a year before Pep or during the first 2 years of Pep Guardiola. And those players were Kevin De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling, Otamendi, John Stones, Sane, Gundogan, Laporte, Kyle Walker, Bernardo Silva and Edison. And pretty much all those players contributed and impacted in City winning the first 2-3 years before the other players came in, the likes of Rodri, Haaland, Ruben Dias, Akanji, Ake, and they continued the dynasty which pretty much ended last season. And now we're seeing Pep head into another dynasty, especially with all the old heads leaving and about to leave, the likes of Bernardo Silva and Gundogan. And it feel like with Pep signing his extension and signing about over 7 to 8 to 9 players over the past 12 to 24 months, we feel like a second dynasty is about to happen. Over the last 2 years, Pep has signed Guardiola, Doku, Marmoush, Nico Gonzalez, Kosanov, Victor Rees, Savinho, and the 3 players he signed this summer in Ryan Henderson, Ait Nouri and Faisal Hassan. Yes, boys and girls, you guys are probably wondering what the hell is Cherki doing and talking about Man City on YouTube, rather not being and preparing for the game tomorrow against Al Ain in the Club World Cup. Trust me, brother, I can do so many things. I can stream, do YouTube, and play and dominate on the pitch. However, the reason why I said those bunch of new players are about to start a dynasty, this is the first time since a very long time that Pep have got squad depth in pretty much every position. Very different to what he had 2 years ago, despite the fact that they won the Premier League. Even though in terms of squad depth, they weren't that large. And last season where they faced so many issues and complications with their players. So if we look at the City squad for next season, they already have the bunch of players that have already won with Pep Guardiola. The same way the likes of Kompany, Aguero, Fernandinho and David Silva, they already have those kind of players in the likes of Rodri, Ruben Dias, Haaland, Bernardo Silva or Akanji and Ake. So for next season, they have their vets now combined with the new players coming in and the new talent coming in. For example, defensively, they have it covered. Whether that is a left back with so many options, whether that's Ait Nouri, whether that is Ake or Gvardiol, who played last season a lot on the left hand side, whether that's the centre backs in Ruben Dias, Stones, Kosanov or Victor Rees, or whether that's the right back in Lewis or someone who inverted and played in a different role in Nunes. However, the only position which I feel like City can upgrade on and add addition to it is the right back position. Lewis playing there, despite the fact he's very comfortable on the ball, off the ball it feels like he's very bad positioning, awareness is not the best, he's too small and not strong enough and would be easily beaten in aerial duels. However, when it comes to the midfield, City for the first time in a very long time have got it covered with so many options, whether that is the lone pivot, double pivot, three-man midfield, or on the wing, something which they didn't have at all last season, ever since Mahrez or Raheem or Sane left. Starting from just the pivot, City have finally got Rodri coming back from injury. He, of course, played in the Club World Cup and will be ready to start from the first game of the Premier League season in August. However, this time around, he's got options next to him. The reason why he got injured is because he was the only option and he played excessively amount of games. And he was the only person pretty much played 90 minutes and he had no backup because Kyron Phillips wasn't good enough and he was just cheeks. But this season, he's got a lot of options, and the likes of Reijenders, who can play next to him, all in the lone pivot as he did in the first Club World Cup game. He can have Nico Gonzalez, who they signed for 55 million from Porto, or he can have Kovacic, who did pretty decent when Roger went down last season. Now going forward, whether on the wing position or the 10 position, and City have got so many options, whether you want to use Bernardo Silva at the 10 position, whether it's Phil Foden, who needs to have a strong season after having a disappointing season last season and pretty much disappearing and ghosting in every single game, or whether you want to use Cherki as a 10 or the right hand side. On the wing, you've got Doku, who needs to step up in terms of goals and actually GAs. Savinho, who did pretty well in terms of performances, but the GA were missing. Oscar Bob is finally back from injury after having a very impressive start of the season last season before he got injured. They of course have James McAtee, who whenever he played and whenever he came on last season impressed. Or they can use the wonderkin from Argentina in Claudio Echeverri, whether as a 10 position or on the wing. And now finally, up front, they finally have someone that can replace Haaland if Haaland is injured, needs rest, or needs on the bench, and Omar Marmoush, who can play next to him or as a lone striker. Omar Marmoush did it perfectly at City, where he played as a lone striker, or next to Hugo Ekitike, where they formed that great duo, something which Pep tried to do last season, where he played both Haaland and Omar Marmoush. Sometimes they played in the 4-4-2, or sometimes Omar Marmoush played just in behind Haaland as a shadow striker. But this time, City's got so many options, whether on the wing, whether it's a 10, or whether have two 10s and one pivot in Rodri, or whether defensively with so many options. And it feels like, compared to what it was last season or the year before, despite the fact that they won the Premier League, I felt like in terms of squad depth, City didn't really have many options. When they won the Premier League 2 years ago, they won it because of 3 reasons and 3 reasons only. The first reason is the fact that Arsenal bottled it. The second season is because Phil Foden had an amazing season. And the third reason is because Rodri pretty much clutched last minute goals in so many games. But this time around, they've got talent from all over the pitch, specifically from the players which they've just signed. Right, Nouri will come in and pretty much start straight away because he fits the City system and profile. Reijenders will come in and form the double pivot with Rodri, and they complement each other perfectly. Rodri can stay a little bit back and dictate from the back, whilst Reijenders, which we've seen from Milan, come in, crash the box and be that supposed midfielder in the final third. And you've got the talent in Ryan Cherki, who has to start. He has already come in and said that I won the full smoke. I came here to win the Ballon d'Or. I came here to kill Man United, and I came here to start my own legacy. And Ryan Cherki, when it comes to talent and ability, he's got it more than anyone else. In terms of talent and ability in the City squad, maybe Phil Foden is the closest person to him. And I'm very interested to see where Ryan Cherki is going to be playing, whether on the right hand side the same way he did with Lyon, or whether as a 10 and maybe use Phil Foden on the wing. But City, like I said, they've got Cherki, they've got Foden, they've got Savinho, they've got Doku, they've got Bernardo Silva, they've got Oscar Bob, they've got James McAtee, they've got Greedy, they've got so many options which they can use for this season. And that's why, in terms of Dynasty, they might not win it this season the same way Pep didn't win it in his first season. But best believe, City are here for years to come, because the players which they've just signed are players just for now. They are all young and they're all under 25, which means that City are looking ahead, and they know in terms of competition, they know that Liverpool with Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk and Alisson, they're about to reach the finishing line and they might depart, and Liverpool might go to another dynasty. They look at Arsenal, and Arsenal's always close, but they're never there, and maybe it will always be that for Arteta. So Pep looks at his competition and says to himself, with all the players that he now has, compared to what was last year, he looks at it and says, you know what? I'm here to start a second dynasty. Let me make it 1, let me make it 2, and let me make it 3 more. Pep is currently looking at Sir Alex Ferguson, and he's looking to chase him, bro. The moment he gets 3 or 2 Brother, the conversation is over. If Pep wins 2 more Premier Leagues, especially a back-to-back, the conversation of the greatest ever manager of all time is over. Sir Alex is lucky that Pep had the season he had last season, because the conversation the year before was already done. This Donny won 4 in a row, 5 in 6 years. But after what happened last season, question was being asked about the media, about people coming in and saying, well, Pep can never be Sir Alex. Sir Alex would have probably done it, it's even with the injuries and everything. So Pep needs basically wanted to shut all of the debates and all of the conversation over to make him undisputed as the greatest ever. And this is why I'm saying Pep had his first dynasty, but best believe with those bunch of players, with a new signing which they've made, the second dynasty might be there as well. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the City players which they've signed, whether it's this summer or the last 6 months, whether they are good enough and capable enough of starting a dynasty. Put down in the comments what you guys make of City winning the Premier next season. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new to the channel. We are dropping daily Premier League content, and I'll see you soon. Peace.